I just have a little bit to do on the Audi. I probably only have to work till like midnight, and then UPS shows up and gives me that and that and that and that and that. How can I not put wonderful, beautiful? Oh, and it is perfect. It is better than I thought it would ever be. Okay, so our spark plugs are hitting the headers, so just cut it.
Well, hopefully if it breaks, it's spectacular.
Yeah, I think we got an issue with the clutch still. That last run we were running on 5 cylinders. I panic, throw my helmet on, put it in gear and go, and forget to turn the second scavenge pump on again. We do a 360 at the infield of Daytona. What happens? The back of the water pump pops off. We did everything, so something's gonna break. You didn't mention the smoke. This is what kept Justin Bell from finishing the laps. All right, so we didn't win the race in Florida, but we still won because we got the attention of some big companies that we're very excited to work with. Holley EFI Performance Products is setting us up with an entire new fuel and ignition system, boost control, and sending us to their training school. And we are going to make this Audi 100 times better than it was in Florida. I'm very thankful to you guys for sticking around for that build. Lots of diesel stuff coming up again, but I was a little disappointed in the people who just say, oh, it's a piece of junk and why would you bring that, and we didn't represent Canada good enough, and of course not. Any one of those guys, they're justified in saying that because they never saw any of the other builds going through their trouble times when they had parts built. This is not bolt-on, this is homemade re-engineering and having fun doing it. Of course we're gonna have some issues with it, and of course we're gonna sort them. Put it this way, I bought a Walker lawnmower, which is about the Cadillac of lawnmowers, used, and absolutely nothing worked. Fixed the whole thing up, rebuilt the engine, rewired it, redid everything on that lawnmower. I didn't cut my grass start to finish once the entire first summer I had it without a breakdown, because there's just so many little things in it. But you take your time, you fix it right, and now I've got a fantastic lawnmower that does a great job. It takes the grass, it blows it into a bin out back, it's got a chute that moves back and forth, there's a buzzer to tell you that the thing is full, there's a fan that spins 2 minutes one way, stops, spins 30 seconds the other way, blows the grass out of the rad. Lots of cool little things on it, but with a lot of things in it, a lot of things break. So that being said, on the Audi, it's great because we had to rush like the last 10% of the build, and like Cletus said, the last 10% is about 90% of your the amount of work. You got to realize that I'm proud of this build, and there will be a lot with this car. It's a way for us to get into other channels, a way for us to market the car and ourselves at the same time. We asked the question on Patreon, the supporters on Patreon helping us out. Originally we set a goal for building a cooler, a drive-on cooler, just because Fast and Loud made one, and we thought, oh, you know what, if we jump on that and people saw that last night on Fast and Loud, maybe we can do that and get some support. That didn't happen. You guys clearly said that you want more Audi and more Silverado stuff, so we've got parts ordered for both. We'll be going to all the roadkill events that are close by, and we will be back to the other project car challenges. And I want to thank Rob again for putting that on. Super nice guy. Jimbo, you did an excellent job editing all those videos, and all the other YouTubers, super nice people. So check out their channels, get the different perspectives on it. They're going to be tweaking the event. They're asking our opinions on what should be done to make the event better, and it can only get better from here on in. So again, thanks for watching. Thanks for the ramble. Here we go. All right. If any of you guys know me, I am an optimist. It's always best case scenario, and it's always won't take very long. It never really happens. It's always worst case scenario, and it always takes 3 times longer than I hope it does. So that's the Audi. figured out that, yeah, we did blow a head gasket, probably in Daytona when the back of the water pump came off. And it just got hot. So here's the head gasket. You can see that there's black in between number 1 and number 3. This is how it sits. And also in the coolant there. Now the other side was going to do it too. Was about there. So we warped the heads. We got them hot. Probably running on 6.5 cylinders. So we pulled the heads off, got them machined again. Took another 14 thou off of the one head. So we're lowering our compression, or raising our compression by lowering the heads on. Hopefully our intake still fits. We put the heads back on again. So here we go. Alright, I'm excited to say that the Audi got the attention of a couple companies, and they're interested in working with us and gonna be helping us from here on in. Now, one of those companies is Pennzoil, and remember we made a video way back, we went to Indiana there and checked out the racetrack there, and we were introduced to Pennzoil's new way of making oil, their Pure Plus, and they actually turn natural gas into an oil. So rather than refining crude oil, dirty crude oil coming from the ground and getting your different grades of oil, they start with natural gas and turn it into an oil, and it's a very pure, clean base to start with that mixes with the additives really, really well. So it's a really good choice for the high heat, high stress conditions that we're putting the Audi under. So we've got 10W60 for the engine. Now the first number being the weight when it's cold, the second number being the weight when it's hot. And that's a great oil for whether we're out on the ice doing some snow drifting, or whether we're gonna be beating it on a track down in high heat, high humidity conditions. We've got 7590 for the transmission, and then we've got 75140 for the differential. So I've already drained the engine oil. We're gonna start putting some of this in, swapping out the diff and the tranny, and we can sleep with confidence knowing that it's not the oil that is gonna blow up the diff or the transmission, but my heavy foot and stupid things that I'm gonna try and do with this Audi. So I wanna thank Pennzoil and all the other companies that are working with us. It really helps us out. So here we go. So I was driving around in the yard there having some fun with the car, and I broke my clutch pedal. So this is like a plastic, maybe composite, and that was already cracked before too. I could feel the pedal kind of tip a little bit sometimes. So we got rid of that, and instead I made my own out of the brake pedal from my parts car. So now it's steel, it weighs about 4 pounds more, and it will never ever break again. So glad that happened here and not after we dragged it all the way up north. Yeah, these are the little bugs we gotta get out. So, or when we were driving it in Florida, that would have sucked. We would have found somebody to make one, but anyway, here we go. How's it going?
How are you?
Good. It's lighter than I thought. I hope it's not everything. I don't know if the intake even fits in this box. Oh, this is only Dominator. All right, so this weekend the Audi is going to Motorama, and we will be there. And surprise, surprise, I'm working on the Audi because It's not really quite ready yet. It is and it isn't. Had some bad news. The Holley stuff did not make it in time. I got a couple pieces, but the main order isn't here yet. We did a few upgrades to it. We got to put the Michelins back on it again. I'm making a nice solid steering wheel rather than staring at that, which probably scared Justin a little bit back then, but I got to clean up the wiring a little bit. We polished up the pipes and cleaned up the turbos. I'm trying to look at the ass end of the car here, and I had a nice idea to make it look good. The fabricating shop that's welding the two Studebaker truck cabs together for me right now, he does amazing work, and he's got some extra tools that I don't have. So I said I want to make some exhaust tips, a left and a right, and then an air dam in the center where all the air out of the trunk kind of funnels out of. And I had a hard time drawing them a picture, so I spent a night just cutting and pasting with my girls. And this is what we came up with. So it's got an angle to the side, and then it's actually angled forward too. And when you're done, it looks something like this. So it's just sitting in there mocked up, but basically we just took it and then just folded the lip over, make it look like it's got some meat to it. And then the air from behind the bumper will get funneled into this one and will come out the center section here. So these are the two exhaust tips, and then I'm hoping that the diffuser will come out and actually scavenge a lot of the air coming out of the trunk, create a low pressure, try to pull that out, because regardless of what we're going to do to the car, the rad is staying in the back window. So this is going to be the finished copy. We just can't take it ice drifting again if it's got frozen banks, because it does wreck the diffuser. So we'll fix that up. We got to get that ready. We'll put all the chrome pieces in that back on again for Motorama. We got a bunch of other stuff to do to it, and yeah, here we go. All right, it is Wednesday around 2. I just grabbed the water pump from across the border because they won't ship to Canada, which takes up most of the morning. I had to fix an excavator at V&R's this morning, so luckily that was on the way, but that just puts me another 2 hours behind. So I thought, okay, not the end of the world. I just have a little bit to do on the Audi. I probably only have to work till like midnight, and then UPS shows up and gives me that, and that, and that, and that, and that, and this. And how can I not put this wonderful, beautiful goodness intake? So much to do. Oh, and it's my mother's birthday. Happy birthday, Mom. So I gotta go there for a good chunk of the night. So, and that always comes first. It's just a car. All right. I guess I don't need sleep tonight. Here we go. All right, TPS, the computer. Oh, bunch of fittings. I won't be installing the fuel system. Intake temp, temperature sensor, Y fittings for the turbos so they don't leak anymore. Bunch of fuel line, regulator. Oh, that's for the filters. This is a brand new era for me. Wiring. O2 sensor. Problem is, I could not physically install everything and have the car running for the show. So maybe a little secret between you and me, now that this video will come out after the show, is that the car, it's like it's meant for SEMA. Don't think it'll be running, but it will be very, very beautiful. Oh! That's genuine. Oh, and it is perfect. It is better than I thought it would ever be. I was staring at this on Cletus's ride, and I would never, honestly never thought that this would actually happen. Oh, so you know, I made that dash just for that Samsung pad there. But look at this, just look at this. There's the Velcro. Oh, it's like the rivets are just showing. That was kind of the theme that we're going there. And it's, oh, it's so perfect. I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it. Biggest thing that's ever happened to this channel ever since the channel. Wow. All right, so I got rid of our little DOD plate that I had to screw around with because it's got a whole bunch of these
ports that hit the intake, so I had to shave it, and that ended up leaking somewhere, and that was our leak at the back there, making a big mess. So we got this cutout plate or eliminator plate from ICT. I think it was only like 40 bucks or something. And then the oil pressure, pretty cool. The gasket goes around the oil pressure, but they mark it here. If you want to drill it and tap it to put your oil pressure sensor in there, you can. We might do that later, not right now, because our oil pressure sensor right now is on the side of the block. There's another port at the end there. But we might do that because I think our intake is high enough now that we can get away with that. So this is our Sniper intake, and first opinions are, so far so good, nice and heavy. Looks like nice welds all the way around. You got all the ports for your map and your boost and whatever else. And as you can see, I made a nice little adapter plate here to put my other throttle body on it that I painted, because unfortunately I didn't get a throttle body with this shipment, but it's not, right now it doesn't run anymore because it will not get any air, but it won't get any dirt in there either. So, and that's probably okay because I probably don't have the boot to go from my, I think that was 4-inch to whatever size, the 92mm or 102, I can't even remember what I got. So I probably don't even have the boot for that. So I probably would have ended up doing this anyway. So let's put this on, here we go.
Oh, that is all sorts of sexy.
Oh. You know what, you're gonna have to go to the show to see it. Okay, we have some 120 pounds per hour injectors here from Holley. I'm sure they've all been tested and flowed. So they're good for up to 1900 horsepower. I don't think we'll go that high. I always put a little bit of petroleum jelly on. This helps in the slide in that much easier. Okay, so it's 2:30 in the morning. I got quite a bit done, but it's time to go to bed. I fixed some holes in the floor, splashed some paint on it. That should be dry in the morning. I did some work under the hood there. I got the intake on. And then we have some Corvette covers just to cover it up, but that actually looks pretty nice in the morning. I gotta put the water pump on yet. I didn't do anything with the front bumper. I've covered up the steering wheel and put the Audi symbols from the trunk on there because we've got sponsor's name there, so that's done. And then I did a lot of work back here. I got the tips actually mounted. I fixed the splitter, and then I put this plate at the back and then curled it around and went up, and that's where I'll mount the other piece too. I think that's about it. I got the other holes drilled. I got the chrome piece or the stainless piece there. I'm gonna swap the tires in the morning. Anyway, it's time to go to bed. Here I go. This little grinder is just perfect for when you need a part off a car in the driveway, but it's cold out. You don't want to be here longer than you have to, but you also don't want to crack the plastic because it's the last good one you have. I need that. Hold on. So perfect. I'm not even cold yet. You gotta get yourself one of these grinders. It is about 3:30, right about on schedule. Would have been nice to have a little nap, but that's not gonna happen. Car's in there, tires are switched. I had to fix one flat tire, there was a nail in it. It's never easy. Back window's all cleaned. Under the hood looks good. The back window's riveted back on again. The front splitter's back on again. The diffuser looks awesome. We'll see what they have to say, because it's one of the, it's like an odd car. It's like, I've gone to car shows and stuff before, but more for me, and car shows are odd because I go to a lot of them and people sit behind their car and they just want you to admire their stuff and nobody admires anybody else's. And I find that really odd, especially like if you go to a place in town.
it's the same people. They don't even walk around and check other people's rides out. You have the cliques that go there every week, and they just sit in a circle and they talk and they ignore everybody else. But a community like this at Motorama is completely different. So the whole point, like, people go specifically there to check out other people's rides, and I think it's a lot nicer community. So that'll be interesting. This is actually my first real big car show that we've been able to bring anything to. I had an old Firebird, but it was not show quality, and when you bring something like that to a car show, they're like, wow, that's not right and this isn't right. But this one's just cool. So really excited about the summer, and with Holley we should be having a lot of fun breaking a lot of stuff on that car. So anyway, I'm gonna shower, I'm gonna have a tea because it's 3:30 and I'm Dutch and it's tea time, and then I think my wife will be home in 20 minutes, and then I can kiss her goodbye for the weekend. She's coming out Saturday, I think. Anyway, here we go. So we're here at Motorama. Pretty relaxed, actually. I think everybody's mostly moved in. It's about 6 o'clock, and we have until 9 o'clock to get in, but we actually are right beside the Lincoln booth, which is great because we were hoping to talk with Lincoln this week. So feels like Florida all over. All right, so we're here at Motorama. This is 2018 in the International Center in Mississauga. Probably the largest indoor auto show in Canada. I think it's 33,000 square feet. Pretty cool place. The airport's right across the road, and they used to make airplanes here, and they used to make the Avro airplane across the road. Pretty cool to just even be here because it's invitation only. You submit your car, and if it's cool enough, they decide to let you in or not. So we called up the judges and said, this is the car we built, and submitted it. They called us and said, we love the car, so bring it. And it's awesome talking to everybody because every other car here is pretty well shiny or really nice patina, but this one, it really isn't either, and everybody's kind of attracted to it because they're going, why is that car here? But it's getting a pile of attention, and we actually won best in class for rally/race car. So really excited. We met a pile of people. It's an awesome show, very relaxed. Saturday is extremely busy. Friday, a whole bunch of students came through, and it was awesome talking to the students because they're like, hey, we watched your channel. This is what I'm building. They're pulling out their phones and they're going like, this is the swap I'm doing. This is the square body I have. This is the Cummins I have. And I'm just loving every minute of it. So the Lincoln booth is actually right beside us. We've talked to some people over there, so some cool stuff happening there. We met a pile of other people. Just phenomenal show. So it's Sunday now. We're packing the car up this afternoon. We got half the Holley stuff on. Unfortunately, we didn't get everything, and like I said in the video, I wouldn't physically have enough time to get everything on. But everybody's loving it. Put the trim on. Everybody seems to notice that I only have like a millimeter clearance there, but yeah, like you can tell, everybody seems to like the car. So yeah, we'll walk around and check out some of the other rides too. So here we go. The car doesn't currently run, so we're actually getting a tow from our new sponsor, Lincoln Electric. We really enjoyed the show. It was a great time. We've got our patinas with rusted old cars with on beautiful old period correct time, and then we've got our shiny, bright, waxy paint cars, and then there's us. And we just stood out like a sore thumb. It was incredible. Anybody that walked over was like, well, okay, it's an LS swapped Audi. Who cares? Why would you LS swap a four-door sedan? Everybody just kind of assumed that it was a T56 in there until we had to explain to them, no, it's still Quattro. It's still all-wheel drive. And we actually had to open the doors because too many people were walking past without seeing the turbos. And we had to explain to everybody it's still all-wheel drive Quattro. That was the whole point of the car. So we had to go to the racer section out back and find some Quattro stickers. This one said Quattro gets you laid, and it had a picture of a stripper. So we had to cut that out and just put Quattro on it. And then the one on the back said Quattro owners do it on all fours. And so we had to cut that off, and then we cut and paste like serial killers, all-wheel drive out of, do it on all fours, and now we have a Quattro all-wheel drive. So super happy. We won best in class for rally / race car, which we were thrilled about. There was probably about a dozen or so there. But regardless, it got a pile of attention because it was just something that's completely different, and so the car is doing exactly what I was hoping it would do. Lincoln booth was beside us. We're talking to Lincoln Electric Canada to get some new equipment in the shop, and everybody's just really excited about the car. Starting at the bottom, working our way up. I can't wait to get the rest of the Holley stuff on there, get the last of it tuned. When Stefan and I tore it apart, we found a couple things that were really holding us back. With those things fixed, I'm sure that we're gonna have a lot of fun with this car. All right, so an issue that we had with the clutch last time we were ice racing was it just wouldn't disengage.
Yeah.
Stefan, what's going on?
It was a manual clutch, as in it didn't work.
Originally, I thought it was my center disc and the clutch was binding, and it was
Yeah,
just
on that
dragging.
friction plate.
Yeah, but it was dragging, and
I think the slave's pooched, or it's not pushing, or it's something with it.
yeah. So we got a cheapy slave cylinder from Rock Auto, and that is. I'm thinking that's the culprit. We put the double disc McLeod in there, so I think it's hard to push on that clutch, and it's just more than that slave was meant to do.
Maybe.
When I first drove it off the ramps for the very first time, it shifted so nice, and I'm like, we actually get to go racing because it moves and it stops.
Working, yeah.
And I stalled the engine by hitting the brake and letting go. So that wasn't the issue, and then every time I pushed on the clutch, it got worse and worse and worse. So Justin was like right at the end of the clutch, and then we went ice drifting. You felt it. It was terrible.
Oh, I couldn't shift.
There was no clutch.
There was nothing.
So then we just, well, we're going to pull it out. About an hour of prep work to pull the exhaust off. The mounts for the engine are nicely right there. The bolts for the transmission are nicely easy to get at the top. So what, you were on it about an hour?
If that, I was taking my time.
Yeah.
I really was.
So-
I was singing too while I did it, so could have been longer, could have been shorter.
Yeah, it took honestly about an hour to take it out, probably about an hour and a half to put it back in again.
Yeah, it's actually really easy.
It's honestly
Well,
what it is.
nothing's rusted and seized together, right?
Yeah.
It's
All right, let's see what happens.
So we had a look. We think we might have come up with a culprit of why it shifted like trash.
When we pulled this engine out, this bearing was laying. It came out. The spring pushed it out. Now this snap ring here is supposed to keep it together, and I thought maybe it wasn't even attached on the shaft anymore. But honestly, this bearing has nowhere to go. It's stuck sliding on this collar on the inside, whether the snap ring is on it or not. The snap ring is only for assembly, so it stays together. As soon as you roll the engine in it, the release forks on the clutch plate push against this. So then I thought, I had Stefan step on the clutch, and it actually takes 3 pumps of the clutch to push this release bearing all the way out. And I thought that's the culprit. The master cylinder is too small for this. So if it takes, say, 6 ounces to move this clutch bearing from all the way in to all the way out, the master's only pushing, say, 2 ounces, so it takes 3 pumps before it's all the way out. But that doesn't matter because this spring pushes the bearing right up against the fingers, and it only takes a ½ inch of travel. I put the pressure plate in the press to see how much it takes to disengage the clutch, and it only takes like 3/8 to a ½ inch of travel to disengage the clutch. So I don't think that's the issue either.
So when I was looking at the, what the heck's this thing called?
Pressure plate?
The pressure plate. The pressure plate, when it was bolted onto the engine, the fingers weren't all level. So it was a little bit cocked to one side. So when we pulled these spacer,
That's all they are, spacers, yeah.
Spacers off, just by picking them up and looking at them, I could tell they weren't all the same size. So we're thinking that maybe one side was a little bit higher, kind of shifting the whole clutch assembly off to one side. So it was always dragging a little bit on the clutch, and we weren't getting full disengagement. So that's why we were fighting all the time with the clutch, and and having fun.
What happens is this is the intermediate plate.
Just drop it in.
Just drop it in it. And if you remember, this actually had an ear sticking out with a little damper spring on the side, but it didn't fit inside the bell housing. So what I had the machinist do is make these little shoulder collars, and an Allen bolt goes right through, and that allows this plate to slide up and down. When you're pushing on the clutch, now you don't want any drag in between the clutch discs and the intermediate plate or the flywheel. So what's happening is, because it was on an angle, it was pushing on one side of the clutch and not on the other, and it was allowing half of that just to drag. So we measured these with a micrometer, and they're about 40 thou difference between the smallest and the biggest. So I think that would do it, and I'm back to my original diagnosis sitting in the car. What is going on?
Yeah.
And it shifted perfect the first time, and then every time I pushed on the pedal, it got worse. Like, of 1,000 pumps on the pedal, every pump did a little bit worse until the end, and it wouldn't disengage. Like, I can't get it into gear.
Basically got 2 good shifts, and then it went up the creek.
Yep.
Seems like the issue.
One
of the issues.
One of the issues.
And we're probably going to replace the slave cylinder. Maybe get something a little bit better quality.
Yeah. I put the engine and transmission together, bolted it up, and then made the line and everything for the release bearing. So it would have been nice to try it and make sure that the pedal, like the pedal,
throw,
the full throw on that. So this isn't the original release bearing out of this transmission, because our bracket didn't fit with the twin disc. So new bearing. We'll check the operation with the release bearing
against this master.
Against that master. If we don't feel there's enough travel, again, we can put this in the press and see how much travel we need to disengage the clutch.
Right.
Then we'll put a bigger master on there, and we'll have to make that one fit the pedal bracket. Then we can roll it back together. We'll drop these off at the machinist there, and say what the hell.
Yeah.
And then I think the clutch discs are fine. We're gonna put that clutch back in it again because they're broke as shit. We'll bomb around in this for a while. Basically this summer, we'll test and tune on this clutch, and then if we do a Ferretti and we do another project car challenge, we might be able to save up for another one and then put a brand new clutch in it before we go out. That's probably the best idea.
Yeah, probably.
Probably, because we just need the discs.
Yeah, maybe just slap some new discs in it.
Yeah, I know where we go. And we can probably get that machined. Anyway, that's what we made. That's what took, 3 hours tonight?
Sure.
All right.
3 hours and 2 beers.
There we go. One each. Okay, so this is where we're at. It is the beginning of April. It's actually Easter weekend, and the car is kind of at a stall because I don't get the other half of my Holley shipment until the end of April. We're going to Kentucky Training School, I think. Nothing's 100% confirmed yet, but tentatively we're going in the middle of April to the Holley Training School. The machinist will take care of these little bushings. We'll get those fixed up. All the wiring is going to be ripped out. I tried to get a hold of somebody to see about rebuilding the turbos, just because we did put oil past the seals. Now is the time to take them apart and kind of put new seals in them again. If anybody knows where to get those R2S turbos kits, I'm having a hard time finding them. The company that was in Toronto didn't email me back yet. That reminds me, I gotta call them. But yeah, other than that, the car is kind of stuck in limbo for a little bit. That's okay, we got other stuff to do. It's still really crappy weather out here. We just got rid of all the snow. It's pouring rain right now, so the tracks, it's not really a great time to go to the tracks, but I do want to take this as soon as we can. So in the meantime, I've got the 5.9 we completely rebuilt for the million-mile truck. Probably turn the old engine into a coffee table. So that should be running on Monday again, and then back on the Mercedes and the GTO. Some good stuff happening with the GTO too. Stay tuned. Yeah, here we go.